Hello everybody and welcome to the webinar IT/OT Integration, Leveraging Data and Real Use Case. My name is Rogério Boleta, I'm your moderator for today's session. I'm marketing and go-to-market for IT/OT integration by factory automation. Very happy to be here with you and hope that we can have a lot of exchanges after this webinar. So feel free to address me afterwards. So why you are here and why we are talking about IT/OT integration? Well, we are all driven by mega trends that sometimes we are not even know and can really understand why that's happening. So I think that's going to be one of the tasks here today, and to make that clear link and understand how the world is contributing for the need to get and work better with data, also in the manufacturing. So anyhow, this brings opportunities and benefits for you as a company, as a supplier, or as a customer. So, and we try to summarize some of those mega trends that are happening worldwide, and probably some of those are already impacting you. If not, still, they are going to impact you. Be sure about that. Climate change. Climate change, we need to have more sustainability for our world, for the world, our family. So, and there's a lot of things that we are doing and are need to be done on a manufacturing environment too, right? As reduction of the CO2 and neutrality of the CO2 and the production is one of those aspects that we will need data. Individualization. We as customers are getting much more requirements on the suppliers, not about only the products that we want, but how fast we want to have them, and how individualized these products need to be for us. So this pushes a lot of requirements on the production too, right? So getting more flexible production is something that will require also more data. Globalization. If you are a company, probably you are getting information or products and components for your production from worldwide supply chain. So where this data is coming from, where these components are coming from, how they get to you, and how to leverage those data in a way that you get more efficient and resilient those changes that are happening in the global world. Digitalization. There are a lot of technologies going on and happening and available for you, for which one and how you can define to make the better opportunities and advantages for you. So to get more transparency, at the end of the day, more quality for your customers. So these are some of those impacts or those trends that are impacting on the way that we think that is necessary to require more data from the production and getting more aligned work of this data on the way that they need to be. And therefore, these trends, they are not only challenges. They are challenges that we need to master together, but they do represent opportunities for you as a company and for us as customers. So, as sustainability, if you want to understand about the neutrality of the CO2, we need to understand where these emissions are coming from, how we measure that, how these data are getting to the way that you get a transparency way to understand how to do and how to minimize the emissions. So you need data. How to get more flexible, get the products that you are ordering as a customer or producing at the right time as required by the customer. So you need to get flexible and get the data which is necessary to have from the customers and for production aligned on a way that represents an improvement for your process and at the end of the day, a more happy experience for your customer. At the end, cost reduction, efficiency. So how to make all this data available in a way that they can be analyzed and streamlined, contextualized on a way that improve your competitiveness, and get prepared for that. So therefore, data is the new gold. If you use that on the right way, you have cost reductions. You get more efficiency process. Quality. If you have the right information at the right place, you know where to improve your process. So a harmonized way to work with data between IT and OT in a contextualized manner will improve the quality. So these are just some of those links that we can do about these trends that are impacting us, impacting you as a customer or a supplier, on the way that you can manage data to deal with them. But what? Let's try to have a kind of definition so that we are all on the same level through this webinar. There's a lot of ways to define IT-OT integration, how to deal with that. So we have made a very clear way here so that we are on the same page, so that you can understand how you get through the implementation process and how that can help you at the end of the day. So, but let's go a little bit from the history, but also from the actual status on the automation and then the process of the companies today. Well, you need sensors, you have actuators that are delivering data, they are working on a manufacturing environment. You have PLCs that are controlling, right? You have SCADA systems that get some data and make the transparency on the manufacturing. Then you have an MES system, which is normally on the IT side. You have a PLM process and systems that are also on an IT side. And you have also ERP system that they are managing the orders and the customer data on the IT system, on the IT side. So these are somehow interrelated and do exchange data today among them, but not on the way that is going to happen in the future. Why? Because technology is changing. The way that the data is available today, now you can see on the right side of this slide, these technologies are merging. So communication is one level that you can exchange data with all these levels. Of course, you can. You don't need to exchange all the data. And how to leverage the right data from the right source at the right level on the way that it will bring you to new opportunities, that's the way that we are going to go through here with real examples. So, if today the situation is like we are not feeling that we are leveraging the right data at the right place, the communication is not standardized enough to allow this exchange. So IT and OT departments, which are disciplines inside the company, are not working together since the beginning of the project conception. Inefficient and now transparent process are probably happening too. Business process and controls are not leveraged accordingly. So that means there is no systematic orchestration of all these points on the way that you can have the better out of the technology for your benefits. So we try to make all this mix of the information and challenges that are probably impacting you in three categories. One thing is about data, right? We talk about where the data has to come and where this needs to goes to. So therefore, we are going to be addressing the connectivity aspect as one of those requirements that are very important to leverage data. The another thing is the integration layer. Every time that we are talking about IT and OT integration, we always think about, well, there is something in the middle that's coordinating this communication and exchange the right information. Well, that's true. Sometimes this is also already covering some connectivity aspects. We are going to give a special focus on the integration layer as a special topic, as it deserves the data to be organized on a way that IT system requires and vice versa. So, and for sure, where is this data arriving? If you are talking about OT-IT integration, so we expect this data to be leveraged also in an IT system. So that's why we are giving also a focus on IT system that can work on that data to bring those benefits that we are talking about. Well, you already know, you have all these aspects already in your company somehow. So are they orchestrated in a way that you really have an end-to-end IT/OT integrated solution? Well, maybe yes. But we have also thought about how we improve the way to bring those benefits and bring those technologies together in a way that's orchestrated and proven. That means the solutions that we are going to present to you, they are proven. We make those tests and we make those things work for you in a way that will deliver the benefits that we are talking about. Those at the end of the day, we have harmonized end-to-end solutions that bring data where they need to come on a way that is faster and efficient engineering. So that's also important. So when you get to the implementation, how to get fast to the target that you set for the project. Focus on the trends and a use case that you are going to define. That's on a very important point. That's where everything starts, by understanding where I want to arrive with that data, with that information, what I need to improve. So by understanding that, we can have a very focused and efficient implementation. And for sure, it's important that we have a scalable system. By bringing IT/OT system in an orchestrated way, you can increase and scale use case. And that's going to be one of those points that we are going to address here. And if we get this recipe done, we are pretty sure that there will be a lot of satisfaction on this journey of the IT/OT integration. So, how? I already told you one of the main things that we also learned from the past, from experience. There's a lot of ways to start the journey with IT/OT integration. Depending on the way that you start, sometimes you start talking about the specific technologies or connectivity elements without really having a real focus about what you want to reach with that. That's why we put it on the other way around. When we are starting about IT/OT integration, the first thing is define the target and values that you are looking for. This will drive efficient the whole way how to get the data at the place that you want this to be, and how you leverage and make the better out of this with real information. Well, these are the scenarios of the manufacturing from the process. Where we try to bring an example here about a lot of processes that are going on a manufacturing process. From scheduling, warehouse, master data management, order execution, quality management, plant simulation, product logistic, carbon footprint, tracking and trace, plant visualization. Well, these are all probably disciplines that are already well known in your company. Right? So these are pieces of the whole process. So by understanding, by implementing IT/OT integration, very important is to define one of those so that you can start and you can evaluate, are we reaching the right value that you set there? We can scale, where we can improve, and that's the way that you can scale with your use case. And we are going to go on that journey that we just talked about. How to get the connectivity done, how to get the integration layer and IT/OT system. Of course, leveraging standardization, cybersecurity, network concepts in all those aspects. Well, you would need a lot of time to talk about this all use case, so we select two of them, which is order execution and tracking and trace, to give you a very concrete example how we are able to provide a very end-to-end solution to leverage this data and bring the benefit out of the IT/OT integration. In that case, when we talk about order execution, we realize that once customers are looking for improvement of the order execution, they're probably looking for have a more flexibility in their production operations. So that's for clear one value that we need to be looking for. So let's have an example. As a customer scenarios, let's have a kind of the producer, for instance, of white goods. They are manufacturing white wash machines, and this is one of those industries that we could be given an example, but this one is really a reference for us. For instance, it's a mid-level enterprise, can be large. It's a worldwide company, can be local. It's production of white goods. That's a very clear scenarios. So the customer has realized that the competitiveness is not there where they should be. So they still have high costs, they have less production variants, so customers are not getting so happy on the availability of the variants that they do have. There's a lot of manual work. That can be also scenarios. There are pain points that can be identified. Missing flexibility, or the employees which are required for the whole process are not there. Typical scenarios of customers that can be improved with IT/OT integration. So one thing when we talk about understanding the customer scenarios is understanding the process which is behind. How to get the value through that process that the customer wants to achieve. We have an exemplary business process which is working today in a manual workflow. Customer creates an order on a web, and it lands on an ERP system of the supplier, of you as a producer. So this order are going to be printed and then going to be a next step. So this piece of paper sometimes is required to go to the machines and bring the right configurations and sets that are necessary on this machine to produce that product. Sometimes that's happening in Excel. So we have examples that customers are still printing out Excel tables with order of the customers and bring down to the production. There's another colleague which is responsible for the production, taking this piece of paper and putting another system that are going to flow into the production. Well, we see a lightning there that can be a pain point, right? Is that happening in your company too? Maybe. Well, and then these parameters that were defined for the production, they need to be set in a machine. And then go the process. And there's another paper that's going to be printed out. Another colleague is going to take this information, set into the machine, and then start the work order. So then this information, the feedback of this information is happening on the same way. There's another piece of paper which is going to confirm if the order is done, is they collecting all production papers and condense the data on a way that the colleague from ERP also can understand. And so that goes back to the process on ERP. So as you see, we have a process here, which is a typical process. There's a lot of still paperwork and there's a lot of inefficiency or pain points that can be improved. So that's a way that we think if you are able to understand your process on a way that you identify your pain point, that's a very good way to be looking for the value to improve that. So, and that's an example that we bring here. The today's situation of this customer is order data are print out, it changes again, manual entry of target values in the production machines, manual entry of the actual values of the order slip, manual data transfer to ERP, right? What would be a wish situation? I want to digitalize this. The problems on the shop floor need to be evident and transparent. So no transparency if you have a lot of papers. Who is going to evaluate them? How they're going to be organized? We want to have a situation that when we need change on the parameters, they are going directly to the machine. It's not necessary to have another piece of paper to make these changes again. Actual values are transferred directly from the machine to digital production orders. That means the feedback is also digitalized. So that's a very clear scenario that is important for you to define too. What is your pain points that you want to address with a solution that can be IT/OT integration? In this case, we analyze this information and this situation and where the customer as a production wants to get through. Well, if we're talking about IT/OT integration, and we talk about it, we need to think about connectivity, integration layer, and IT systems. Important to have an infrastructure of the network where the communication is going to run, right? So security aspects must be considered. Standardization as good as possible. We talk about scaling. So standardization will be a key to allow scaling use case inside the production. Holistic security, for instance, with IC 62443, getting assessment, anomaly detection, vulnerability management. So these are the fundament, the base of any project of the integration data. Of course, for that, we have specific solutions and products which are behind that, but this is very important to look this on a holistic way. Well, another aspect that we said, well, set this structure is there. Network structure, we understand what we need, what we have, where we want to reach, and where this data need to be there. Now we think about it, which data are necessary for that specific use case and how they are going to get transferred for the where they are and where they do need to be leveraged. So talking about connectivity in IT/OT, we need to talk about this and understand in all aspects what are the interests of the data for IT, what are the delivery data from OT and vice versa, and how this communication is going to be happening. So for that's why we split. This is a very important requirement so that we understand what is available today in the machines and in all these control systems and sensors which are available there. Are they standardized? Are they not standardized? Which kind of drivers and protocols are in place and need to be managed? So we brought here an example with our Siemens S7500. He's managing the communication, but also the integration layer. You'll see on the next slide. Of course, the Siemens S7500 as a controller is not his main task to be managing that, but all this information are there and all these protocols can be driven and this information can be achieved and reach out from this system. So therefore, control, communication management in one place. So, and that's why it's important to have, is this in this case, this product, the way that can deliver the data and get all the data necessary on the level that you want to have? For this example, yes. So we are using this Siemens S7500 with established industry standards and can be implemented in various use cases and also bringing also protocols which are very standardized as OPC/OA. A small size PLC, and you can also leverage the engineer of the TIA portal. So that's one of the things that we said, well, that fits very well here, and the engineering is going also to be very easy to be implemented. So, but going in the aspect of the connectivity, we said, well, we need to think about which data. Now we know all the data is necessary. We have a solution that is managing the communication. Well, now which is the information which is necessary to get to the next level. So not all data are relevant for that specific use case, right? So therefore, this integration layer manageability with the 7500 is also something that can be done. So that means it consolidates and aggregates the field data in a way that helps you to decide which data needs to be at the field. It's not necessary for that use case, which one needs to be gone to the next level, for instance, for an MS system. And in that case, we are going to be covering this use case with Opcenter. So this management of this information and data flow between OT and IT is completely managed by the Siemens 7500. It attaches semantic to the information so that the right information are also well interpreted on a higher level. So, and again, so we still can make this engineer over the TIA portal. So one system, you are managing the communication of the field device and now managing also the integration layer where you are exchanging data direct with IT. Well, of course, so to get an improvement of your process on order process, on the order execution, as we said, MES is required. So Opcenter Execution is the solution that we are using this use case that brings the full functionality to make this management of the order process, but also to exchange the information with the OT level. So it brings the information which are required to the control, which already distribute this information to the machines as the use case required. So it's a tight control of the production or the execution. You can modify the production when it's required. You have the tracking production on the steps, and the vertical integration is happening there. So by having these three components, managing the connectivity, integration layer, and on IT system, getting the data leveraged so that you can really make out of this the information and improve your process, is at the end of the day what we say an end-to-end proven solution. So all these processes are very well tested by us with machine integration, handshake, buffer, a standardized interface, and pre-configured workflow. So that makes the implementation much easier. The same is happening on a MOM integration level. So handshake, buffer, standardized interface, and pre-configured workflow. You do not have here a state-of-art technology, but also proven in all aspects which are relevant for that use case to a faster implementation. So that's the way that we can bring another execution use case with IT and OT live and helping you to improve that process. That's the way that we can see that process after the integration of all this system that we talked about. So now the plan and order process that's going to the PM to MS system now is digitalized. So the same is happening from MS system to shop floor. So no papers anymore. So also the feedback of this information to the ERP is going to be digitalized. So with that, with a small system and a very easy implementation, you get a very important step here with IT/OT integration in direction improving your process with order execution. And one of those aspects that we said, if we have the right system and the technologies are set on a way that we understand very well where we want to reach, we can have a very fast scale of the use case. And that's a very practice case with this example, because the same solution that you are using for the order execution, you can be using also for the traceability improvement of your production. For that, you can help to improve the transparency and also the quality of your operations. Again, it could be the same situation, but here there is other use case or other, let's say, pain points that need to be identified. It could be also on other way around, that the customer or that you will start with the traceability requirements. And for this example, we are bringing traceability afterwards, but the customer also realized that traceability is one of the points that can be improved. In that case, the same way, let's understand the workflow, and we'll see that the production, the traceability of the information from work operator to the work preparator planner is also a kind of paper exchange. So, and again, for the work preparation to the ERP also. So, two pain points were identified also in the process there that can be improved, right? So, again, you have the situation that material movement is controlling is logging with the field manually. Complaints mean an increasing expenditure of time because you don't find the right paper and the right information where they should be, with a lot of files that you need to look for that. So if you have an audit, that's really a nightmare. So this is the situation that customers are living today, working with a lot of papers and in not getting a digitalized process. So the wish situation would be, how can we exchange this data between IT and OT on the shop floor in a way that's much more efficient? So the batch tracking without files executing at the touch of the button. Full product recall capability for a quick evaluation. If there's a customer complaint about the quality of your product, how you can get through and understand which companies or which part of your process can be responsible for that, and get faster to the root and understanding and get a better customer experience. How the effect of the contaminated materials can be identified if you are not having all this information available and transparent for you. So I wish the situation would be also that audit process can be much easier, right? So that's a very clear scenarios that we can contribute here with the same use case and the same solution. With S7500 on the connectivity and integration layer, we bring this information to the MS that you can scale that use case and this new functionality in your same system. Well, that's a kind of the summary that we can bring to you and what we have been discussing here today. That's why we say, well, we offer end-to-end proven solution, and that's really a benefit. Because if you are going to look for yourself, for your piece, and try to make that integration by yourself without having these handshakes and now this process, these testings, so that can be very difficult for you. So how to get faster to the way, to the benefits that you are looking for? We are convinced that we, with our system that are proven here from OT and IT systems, play very well together. We test and improve them under this circumstance and the use case that we just showed. So you can have a very flexible and effective production, so to enable the paperless production, as we said about it. So consistent data management to enable the seamless traceability of your process. Calculating KPIs, quality rate to compare and optimize equipments. Identify and eliminate production bottlenecks. These are just some of those which can bring on that flexible. Do you remember? The main point was flexibility. So I think with this use case and this solution, we are fitting very well to address that megatrend that we talk about it. Another point is scalable use case. Once you have this orchestrated solution, so you can scale to other use cases. For instance, planning and horizontal integration with MS system that is managing all this information from an OT system is much easier. So, and the same way that we scale the other execution use case with tracking and trace on the same system, it can happen also with other use case. So you can extend also to third-party IT and PLC systems, because we are able to manage all this communication from the OT side. And of course, with PLC solution that we showed here is only one of those options that we can offer to make that integration. Of course, if you have a SCADA system in place, so this, or you are interested and want to leverage benefits of industrial edge in your production. So there are also possibilities there, according to your use case, to make that integration too. So once you have an end-to-end solution from us, you have an implementation and maintenance which is long-term available. So that's one of the things that since we test together, and we are also making that integration inside Siemens to bring those products and leverage the best solution for you, we have various ways to support you on a long term. You minimize the need of configuration on side of MOM as well as the PLC side, because you have already the blocks and the bibliotecs, all the information that's required to make that handshake and make that implementation easier already from us. With that, we can guarantee the consistent data transfer due to handshake mechanisms and buffering that we are also implementing on that use case. I think this summarizes very well about the benefits of the IT-OT integration use case and why you are bringing together the data from the production into the IT system. And if you do it on an orchestrated way, you can get a more flexible, more scalable, and a more implementation, an easier implementation of these systems. It's not a nightmare anymore. So, get the most out of our company and combine the best of IT-OT. We are here to support you. This was one example of the use case that can be helping you have more. If you are interested on that, as I said at the beginning, get in contact with us. And we are very happy to have that exchange with you and show all the options that we have. Bring our experience, challenge us so that we can grow together and make the best out of it for you. Thank you very much for your attention in this webinar. I think this is one of the first that we are doing in this sequence. We will come more on a future. So again, your feedbacks, where you want to have more information about, just get in touch with us. We are very happy to help you. Thank you very much.